Hi, this is Ohfor. Let's play with colors. All right, so last time we created a potion, a dye, that was able to color Gale's clothes, or any clothes really, into these fantastic colors. I showed how to make a custom color set and attach it to the potion and or the dye, and then the dye ultimately transfers that to the cloth. Now this is all fine and well, but it's not a really practical workflow. And as I was running out of time in the last video, I sort of cut it off because the video did show end to end how to make a custom dye. But I wanted to go a little bit deeper with that and show a few techniques, or at least one technique, of how we can better work with dyes and colors and clothes and achieve the look that we're going for. Disclaimer up front, it's not going to be pretty still. I don't really have the talent for that, but I will show the tooling and then leave it in more capable hands to create good looking armors. So let's get into it. We need to find up here the resource editor once more. It's the bag of many tricks. We've used it a couple of times. And let's see if we can find Gale. Now, if I recall correctly, we can find Gale here. So I was searching for S_player_G, and that brings us, I could type out Gale as well. That brings us to Gale. And while we're at it, we have Karlach. We have Shadowheart, what else? Astarion, Minsk, etc. Jaheira is no doubt in here as well. So these are the, I don't actually know what they're called. Character visuals, I think. Character visual resource. And then there's a portrait resource that I won't be covering today. But up here we have S_player_Gale_good. And we open it up. And here we are in the character editor. Because I've opened the character visual resource, it opens up the character editor. And we see here Gale. Now, before I get into too much trouble with YouTube, let's quickly, so down here we have the different slots available on a character. So head, hair, beard, modesty leaf, private parts. Let's add some body armor. And now you see body is selected here. Let's see if we can find the simple robe. I actually don't know what it's called. Absolute robe. So I think, I mean, it would make sense to me that the game would show some kind of thumbnail here, but it doesn't. There's probably a reason for that. I just don't know what it is. So what do we have here? You can double click that. Okay, that looks like Gale's robe. Okay, and let's see if we can also find the boots he's wearing. It might not be the right boots, but there we go. So now we have Gale with something in the body and the footwear slot, and that should be good enough, for example, here. And there's a few things we can do. So by holding down left mouse button, I'm able to change the view of Gale like this. And if I hold down the right mouse button, I'm able to zoom in and out. And the middle mouse button allows me to pan. So that's it. There's probably some more shortcuts, but again, this is not a tool I'm too familiar with. But here we have Gale. Now the idea being, of course, if you're making a die for your own armor set or a specific armor set, you would go seek it out and equip all these items onto the character or any character. You can also find character editors for regular tieflings and other NPCs. And then you would rig it up here until the character looks or has everything equipped that you want to die, and then basically work from there. Right? Okay, so out here on the right we have the Properties Explorer, which is sort of like the character editor's equivalent of what we know from root templates, where over here on the left we have a list of properties. Obviously properties are a little bit different here. So the first thing we see is these are the selected visuals. So that's a list of everything. Let's see if I can. There we go. Everything currently set up in our view here. And we see most of this is just the basic body stuff and hair and beard and whatnot. And down here we see the robe A body, which was the one I found over here on the left, and the footwear leather. And for some reason, so I thought the pants were part of the robe sort of outfit, but yeah, whatever. We have a robe, we have footwear leather, and that's good enough for us right now. We also have something called attachments, which we're not using. And then we have color, which is what we want to be messing with today. So let's just see if we can. There we go. Have a little bit more space. So these are the default colors. And just to see, let's try and make this very bluish. And as we can see, now this directly affects what we see on Gale. So we change it to a screaming yellow, purple. Oh, that was pink maybe, but whatever. We've covered this. Green, etc. So this allows you to live edit all the colors, and this is a lot easier than sitting inside the tool guessing what a color should look like and then trying it out on a die. So the idea being here, someone with actual talent would be able to work here and set up the color scheme that they want. So, isn't this beautiful? No, I'm kidding, of course. I'm just demonstrating how it works. So, there we go. We now have colors. Now, how does this relate back to our die? Well, there is the ability here to load a preset like we used last time. So if we search for tutorial, because I'm hoping, yeah. So here's our Azure die, which ended up maybe not being so Azure at all. So here we see Gale. He's now looking, as far as I'm aware, the same way he looked when we started the video. And we have all these colors loaded. So if we want to modify our color, like so. So we say either use the preset exactly as is, then we can untick this box and that says use preset values, and then we can change this into a very red color. There we go. And then we can save that as a new preset. Now let's actually try this. I don't think, no, it's probably not possible to overwrite. Actually, let's see what happens. Oh, okay. So it basically says the preset already exists and asks me if I want to override it, and yes, I do. So now we have saved this. Now what you need to imagine here is that all the colors have been set to something meaningful, and the robe now looks dazzling and great. And then when you're happy with it, you save your preset, and now you know exactly what it's going to look like back in the game. And just to double check that, why don't we go back and see for ourselves? So we close down the character editor and we switch back to here. Here we have Gale using the old rope. Now there may be, as so often before, there may be a case where we actually need to do a little bit of tool restart, because I've had trouble in the past getting visual resources to update. However, let's be optimistic now. Oh, that is interesting. Why does the robe show in our new color already, given that? So this might actually have taken effect, and I think I may know why. Let's explore this together, because this did come as a little bit of a surprise to me. But I think in the first video we did do something that we didn't. So it has updated quite clearly, which is fine. This is what we want. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this now being red, because we have changed. So our die had been used to apply our color preset to Gale's armor. And now we went to the character editor and we've updated that color preset, and of course the color has changed. And what we're seeing here is just a case of the sandbox level here hasn't caught on to the fact that something has actually happened, so it hasn't reloaded the color preset for Gale. We may be able to just sort of force that. Let's see. Yes. All right. So we have successfully updated the color preset, which is what we were going for. And as I said, a little bit of imagination is required to visualize this as a great looking robe with a fantastic color scheme. I leave that with you. But I now shown a different way we can go about editing the colors and working with the colors that makes a lot more sense, and hopefully makes it easier to achieve the color scheme that you're going for. So now the only thing we have left to do, or at least as far as I'm aware, is how to make a robe. Let's just take the robe, because we've been using that as an example now. How to make a robe spawn in the game, or make our own robe basically, spawn in the game with our color set, so that when you pick it up, it's just going to be dazzlingly red without us having to apply a dye. So let's see. Let's create a little bit of space here. We need to find, well, we need to leave game mode, and then we need to find that robe again, because we want to make our own. And it wasn't it something like robe a that's fine. So arm robe, this is good. This looks like the one Gale is wearing currently, and we want our own version of that. So create new from selected. This we've done a million times before. Well, not a million, but you know what I mean. So we call it tut_arm robe. We're not going to be doing anything else with it. There we go. And then we have it selected here. So simple rope, let's just rename that so we can see its own. That's tutorial simple rope. And then in the color preset, we are going to select our Azure dye, which is definitely not Azure anymore, but hey, here we go. Save that. And wait. And let's go in game. I may not be able to spawn it right away, as we've seen a couple of times, but let's see. Spawn item. Tooth arm. No, there's some leather gloves. So hang on, let me just close that. Press Ctrl R to force a reload. That usually takes care of it. Go back in game. So spawn item, tooth, there we go. Tooth arm rope. And it's already looking very promising because a rope has spawned and it definitely looks very red. So pick that up. And so this is the one, this is the tutorial simple rope. So we're going to take this one off. And then we're going to put the tutorial simple rope on. And that is surprising. So once again, we have managed to create an item that looks correct, but only for the actual item as you see it in world, not when it's applied. So let's debug that. We have our tutorial simple rope, and let's go from there. Okay, I've once again been down a little bit of a rabbit hole offline. Turns out it's actually not that hard. It didn't work the way I expected, and yeah, that's just life sometimes. However, here we are. The tutorial simple rope is selected, and what we need to go find. So my thinking was, and has always been, this material preset field. We could go and select this because as we remember, actually, let's just call it up. So if we go here, this is the dye, or actually the color preset we created, and it's a material preset resource. So in my head, it makes sense that a material preset resource can get assigned to a material preset, and that would then work. And for some reason it doesn't. If somebody knows why or what I'm misunderstanding here, feel free to leave a comment. But it won't work like this. So what I learned instead was that we can go down here and find the field called equipment data and click those three little dots. And it's going to open up the equipment data editor, which is a tool we haven't covered at all. And I'm not really going to go into detail with that for this video because that would be an even bigger rabbit hole. But what we do see is here on the right, we have color. And this looks very much like what we just saw in the character editor. And so we say load preset. And then we are going to find our tutorial mod, Azure dye. And now it looks very red. And then we're just going to save that and close the tool. And we may need to reload, but we'll just have to see. So we're now in game again, open it up. Here we have a tutorial simple robe, and will you look at that? It's obviously a little bit hard to see when whatever. So, but this is the robe that we own and control. And here we have, here's Gale looking all snazzy in his new red robe. And that's essentially it. Now the last thing, as you will no doubt notice, is that the icon looks wrong. Unfortunately, the icon isn't affected by color presets or anything like that. The icon is a bitmap file. If you haven't seen my video on that, I have made a video on how to make your item icons, etc. So you would need to come up with or create your own icon for this, which is annoying, but it is what it is. I won't be covering that in this tutorial. But now we have our tutorial robe, or was our simple robe here, and it spawns in the color set that we've defined. So that means that if you're creating a mod and you want specific coloring for existing pieces of gear, so we're not talking about new gear, because if you're making your own gear with textures and visuals and whatnot, then this is a different conversation. But if you want to just, like me here, take an existing item in game, give it a new color scheme, and then distribute that with your mod, well, this is how you go about it. And hopefully you will be able to come up with some better coloring than than what we see Gale in here. But yeah. Now hold on a minute. I just realized something. I was just about to close up the video and feel really good about myself for once, making it under 30 minutes. But I just want to clarify something that maybe the clever observer has already seen. If we were to make a mod with this robe or any piece of armor that you want, there would actually not really be a need to go through the whole process of creating a material preset or color preset, assign that and the dye and all that. I just realized, of course, there is a very simpler way to go about it. So let's go back to the, there we go, equipment data file. So let's open that up again. I set it without really thinking. What we see on the right is the very same thing we saw in the character editor, and it's set to this preset. But it would of course be possible to say, no, I don't want to use, so just leave it. Let's clear the preset. No. Okay, well, it had a preset to begin with. Robe. Anyway, that's not really important. But so we assign this again, but we say no. Imagine that there was no preset involved. You haven't gone through the process of creating a preset. It is definitely possible to just go here and change the coloring to be whatever we want it to be. So I'm just going to make a few distinct colors here so we know that there has been a clear difference. So nice and green. There we go. So now we have this. So ignore the fact that there's a preset loaded, because here we've unchecked the box for use preset values. And then we've just selected the colors. And the colors we see here are all applicable to the robe we're editing. The name is shown somewhere. Oh, here. So Tut Arm robe, this is the robe, our robe that we're editing. And you could then, so these are all colors that are in use. As we saw when we did the color preset, there were more colors like cloth color 1, 2, 3, etc. And they don't apply to this armor. So if you're not looking specifically to create a dye that has purposes for an entire armor set, etc., this is where you would go. And then you can save that. So now we should end up with a blue, green, whatever, abomination. So that has been saved. Now I don't know, as we saw before, exactly when it takes effect in game, but let's try unequipping it and equipping it again. There we go. So this is now our new color scheme. So you don't have to go through the whole process of creating a color preset if you're not going to be reusing it. You can individually dye Armour just like this. And I just wanted that in there before closing out the video. And I wish you all the best and have lots of fun modding, and I'll see you next time.